My name is Robert Newman. I am the founder of Inbound Real Estate Marketing. Inbound Real Estate Marketing is a company that is about 20 people. We're located all over the world. I act as the Chief Marketing Officer, so I am the public-facing resource that does a lot of the blog posts and talks to realtors about marketing. I've always really appreciated a more personal approach to messaging and marketing, and so I'm going to pull back the curtain a little bit and explain who I am and why I founded Inbound Real Estate Marketing. And like a lot of great ideas or companies, it was really more of an accident than anything else. I got into real estate marketing in 2007, and the reason was kind of ridiculous. I was in the middle of 2007, I was in the process of running the largest independently owned series of call centers on the West Coast. It was 1,100 people worked for me in 7 different call centers, and I had a 3-person website marketing department. And those 3 people produced roughly about 20% of the production as my 1,100 people did on the phone. So eventually, as had happened to me in the past, the order came down that it was time to outsource much, if not most, of the work to the Philippines. We were going to close down a good majority of the call centers that we were operating, including the one that I was located in, which was here in Los Angeles. So it became my role, not for the first time in my career, to let go. In this case, it was a little over 200 people. And these were people that I had gone to picnics with and celebrated birthdays with, and I knew them personally and cared about them personally. So I made a decision then and there that I was going to get into technology. But the funny thing is, despite the fact that I had this great career previous, apparently people in technology didn't want to hire somebody that had a tremendous amount of call center experience. They wanted somebody with experience in technology. So I sent out hundreds of resumes and spent 6 months, and finally a technology company did hire me. That technology company was Agent Image. And I got very lucky in that it turned out that I was very, very good at communicating, making concepts about technology digestible to their customer base, which was real estate agents. And I did very well there, very quickly. I started off as a project manager and was promoted to senior account executive, and then I moved into being a contractor consultant because I didn't want to work from the office anymore. And eventually I left there, and I went to be on 2 different roles, both senior vice president of sales, both for technology companies, one in real estate and one not. And but Agent Image gave me my start. And obviously I'm hoping you noticed the theme here, because that was real estate. So it was funny though, because when I was working there, Agent Image was one of the best companies in the country, and still is, at custom real estate web design. But they had a lot of systemic problems that they still have. There was major customer service issues. They never got their operations or their productions in line with their sales. Their sales were quite good. They always had a very good sales department, real good at generating leads, and as a sales resource, it was a great place to work. Until the point came where you had to answer to your clients about the experiences that they were having, which is why I didn't make it longer than 2.5 years there, and why I moved on to other opportunities fairly quickly, only to discover the same problem in both companies, that they would do one thing very, very well, like build a website or do SEO or do some kind of marketing, and then they would do very, very badly at many other things that related to the customer experience, or in one case it was doing something called scoping projects, which is with larger website development projects. When you have a very large budget, you need to map the entire project out. And if you don't do that right, and you're quoting a flat rate, that is a recipe for financial disaster, and as it was with the company that I was working for. So about 8 years into it, and I continued to contract in real estate technology. I'd gotten very good at it, and I loved the fact that the real estate industry as a whole was really underserved by true technology experts. Almost everybody that gets into real estate technology, these young guys that found these companies like Boomtown or Real Estate Webmasters, for the most part, they have one objective. Matt Barba and his partner Frederick Towns that established Playster, they just want to build up a company and sell it. And the funny thing about real estate is it rarely takes longer than 6 or 7 years to do that. I have been in real estate marketing for longer than 90% of the people that I know. And I know some of the founders and the big muckety-mucks in this industry, and they get in, they do something very well, and they sell out. So which means that those of us that are left that have some kind of expertise are even more and more valuable, and we have more and more information to pass along to our clients should we choose to. This concept that I just shared with you is exactly why I decided to start a blog. And I just decided to start this blog in 2014. And I knew from the beginning that I wanted to blog about all the information that I had about real estate technology. That I wanted to talk about SEO, which I'm really passionate about. I love it. I've always have. I'm a big fan of Google, and even though they've changed the rules a lot, I'm one of those rare people that thinks that for the most part they do it for the betterment of the consumer. There's some exceptions, but they as a whole, in terms of companies, they're pretty good. So I decided to focus on real estate, and again, the reason for that was more just there was really nobody doing it at the time that I made the decision. Now since then, there are two companies that right in 2014 when I made that decision decided to start writing really great content for real estate, and that's Playster, specifically Seth Price, and then Easy Agent Pro, and Tyler Zay. So these two guys do really great in-depth content, and they really, if you read or follow them and you don't already know a lot about real estate online marketing, you will learn a lot about real estate online marketing. But even with those, I kind of felt like there was this big gap. I didn't really see anybody doing in-depth analysis of real estate technology, and I honestly think that one of the reasons is I don't think that Seth Price or Tyler Zay have experience with it specifically. Like they founded companies, and yes, they are very good at taking other marketing information and translating it to real estate, which is extremely valuable. But they haven't actually been in the industry talking to people that use these tools or using these tools themselves. And I felt there was this massive hole in the knowledge for real estate. So I started plugging that hole by blogging. And then, of course, I realized how much time it took, and I slowed down a little bit. And then one of my contracts as a senior vice president of sales with a real estate-focused custom real estate website provider here in Southern California, it ended. And I had this thought that I had two choices. I could try to monetize my blog, which would take a long time, and I'd have to be an affiliate marketer. And there's a company out there called Fit Small Business, and they do that. And their top real estate affiliate is Zillow. And I have nothing against Zillow specifically, but since most of my clients have always been real estate residential clients, I kind of have a natural affinity to want to fight the behemoth, which means that I personally wouldn't want to make my money by being an affiliate with Zillow. So with these choices ahead of me, fortunately, when I left the companies I was representing, I sent out a single email saying, hey, I'm going to go. And the funny thing is that many of the customers that I have, people that I've been selling real estate marketing services to or selling real estate websites to, I've been working with some of them for the entire decade that I've been in the real estate business. If you look at my Google reviews, you'll see a handful of them have put reviews there for me, and they'll say, hey, I've been working with Robert since 2007 or 2008. So I was like, okay. I got very lucky, and a handful of my clients quite literally refused to let me walk away. So, and I'd already had some customers on the side, and basically what I was doing for those people was I was doing SEO consulting. I was like, basically, I was educating them how they needed to operate in order to be successful. In some rare cases, I was doing work for them directly, like writing or doing content strategy and things like that. And so I decided that I was going to be a professional blogger or make an attempt at it. My income dropped by 70%, and I put on my let's be a professional blogger cap, something I'd never done before, and I really focused on InboundREM. And of course, I failed miserably the first year. Everything that I thought that I knew about SEO when I actually tried to apply it didn't really work, or it didn't work well. So I had to relearn everything that I thought I knew. And I also had to service these clients, and I had to establish my blog. The long and short of it is it took me about a year and a half, 3 website redesigns, and finally I did get the secret sauce right. And in the meantime, I had been building up my team and the people that I work with, the real estate website developers, the SEO technicians that I use to support my work, my project managers, my virtual assistants, things like that. I develop relationships in every category. And the secret sauce all came together. My blog started to take off. You are probably here because you found some blog post of mine somewhere on the first page. My reviews, every single one I've done is right now usually located either number 1 for the company I reviewed, and oftentimes it's right below the name of the company that I reviewed. And I've got other blogs on the first page too. So my traffic's been growing month after month by 20 to 50%. So it's skyrocketing. And I just released my biggest blog post ever. So somewhere in there, though, I realized that there's still a really big gap in the real estate industry. And that gap is as follows. There's a lot of great companies out there that do something in the real estate industry very well. Like Sierra Interactive makes a real estate website where the search experience is really incredible. Real estate webmasters, while they're a really flighty company to work with and super expensive, they do make probably the best well-rounded real estate website. They do SEO okay. They do design pretty good. They do customer management pretty good. So they've got all these things that they're kind of good at, but if there's something in there that doesn't work for you, you're boned because you're spending so much money on them that most likely you don't have anything left in your real estate marketing budget to spend on somebody else. So most of the realtors that I know have like 3 or 4 different solutions to their technology problem. Like they'll have a branding website up someplace that has their name on it, and they'll have like a lead generation site from Real Geeks because they can drive traffic into that website and it will produce leads, but it's really generic looking. So they don't want to attach their brand to it in most cases. I mean, not all cases, but in a lot of cases. There's companies out there that used to be good at stuff like Market Leader and a few others, Z57, but they're terrible. Not only does their products and services, they're a complete and total waste of money in most cases, but on top of that, oftentimes they have service or sales personnel that are delivering really subpar experiences to their customer. I'm being very kind here. So there's just no overall solution. If you wanted to, and then every single one of these companies I mentioned, and this really burns my hide, all these companies like the best of the best, like Boomtown or Real Estate Webmasters or Resi, these guys are all doing something really, really well, right? Beautiful websites or a great search experience or a couple of those things combined, and you'll even get some leads from the site. It's all very exciting, except you don't own the website. And in some cases, like Real Estate Webmasters, you don't even own your blog. The owner religiously scours his blogs and just takes down posts he doesn't like. And it's your website. You're spending, let's just call it $3,000 a month and maybe $10,000 to $15,000 to buy the site. And yet, you can't put up a blog post without necessarily having him take it down, among other things. And that's pretty common. all these companies don't have a serious competitor that's really customer focused. Like somebody that will make a website for them that they own, somebody that will consult with them and give them good advice to fill in whatever holes they have in their technology or digital marketing plan. Like if you need a good customer record management to go along with your site, but the two, you can't quite find one that's like an all-in-one tool, well then what two tools work well together? Things like that. And I realized that as much as I might have wanted to be a digital marketer, I really couldn't step away from being a service provider entirely. The need was too great. And obviously I am an entrepreneur. I've started 7 companies in my lifetime. Inbound Real Estate Marketing is my 7th. And it's a huge, like unbelievably large unanswered need in the real estate marketing industry. So I decided to try to test the concept of filling that gap. And what I did is I sent out a second email to people that I used to work with. And lo and behold, my service business, which had just been a handful of customers, grew by 300 or 400%. And I cobbled together my business model, which I had kind of like in the back of my brain. And here's what that is. So I make a website that somebody owns. And I'm going to use this term very loosely, but I give it to the customer without charging for it. It's not really free because I charge a retainer, so I'm not really comfortable saying it's free. However, this is true. Whether I work with an existing site, and I can if it's a WordPress website that you own, or whether I work with, or whether I'm working with, or whether I'm building a site, I don't charge anything different. And there is a large cost. I usually absorb anywhere from $800 to $5,000 in cost when I'm putting together a website. And the reason for that is simple. Building a great website, one that's going to work with all the tools that I know is necessary for what I think is a good performing real estate website. So for me, what I think a solution is that most of the people that I talk to are looking for is they like something that's beautiful, that represents their brand, and yet will generate leads. There's a handful of exceptions that I've worked with over the years, really high-end luxury agents. They just simply don't, they do not now, nor will they ever really truly rely upon their website to generate them any significant amount of revenue. But they're a very small percentage of the real estate industry as a whole, and most of the time the people I'm talking to have the interest in kind of doing both. Or even some luxury agents will say, hey, well, if you can do what you think you can do, which is generate leads in really high-end luxury areas, and my top sale off a real estate lead to date is $35 million. So yes, I think I can. Then they go, okay, well, give it a shot. So I put together a website. I tell the client that I'm going to hold on to it for 12 months, but after that 12 months, they're going to own it, which for me solves one of the largest problems of the real estate industry. I'm building a tool that my customer will own. And the only reason that I have to do kind of like the 12-month thing is that the strategy that I use to get to answer the dilemma of driving revenue is SEO. Now, SEO is where you build really great content and then you send signals to Google. And I try to always build the best page available on a topic. The great news is that real estate is ridiculously not competitive. It's so silly. I could get into it. I could go on forever, but really there's just nobody, not Real Geeks, nobody who's really doing any kind of competitive SEO, not in any market. I don't care where you are. There are markets that have a lot of attention from the big boys like Truly and Zillow and Realtor.com. And some of those markets like Beverly Hills and things like that, it would cost more money to get onto the first page. But creating the best page is not the problem. It's sending the signals to the page and then getting it ranked against these sites that have been on the first page for a while. So what I do is I do, last but not least, I kind of act as an internal marketing department for my client. So in other words, I answer the need that I've always seen. There's all these different pieces of the puzzle that really mess with real estate agents. Like, how do you manage lead when you get it? How fast are you supposed to call it? Are you supposed to be managing your platform to get marketing? Are you supposed to be doing your own direct advertising? Are you supposed to be, like, the list is endless. So I do an end-to-end solution. I do everything for my client, but it takes a while because I don't do direct advertising. I hate direct advertising. I do it as a favor for a handful of clients every now and again, and the reasons need to be really specific. So direct advertising is like Google, Facebook ads. And the reason for that is that a dollar that's spent on SEO is an investment, and in the hands of somebody that knows what they're doing, it's an investment that's going to return 10 or 20 times what you spent. Direct advertising is always just a black hole. You're going to spend 3, 4, 10, 15, 25, whatever the number is, thousands of dollars, and you're always going to lose that money, even if you got leads. With SEO, if you build a website and then the customer owns it, at some point, let's call it 12 or 24 months down the line, you're going to have a site that's generating 1,000 or 2,000 customers. And if you've done your job right, it's going to continue to generate that traffic for the next 2 to 3 years. Google really doesn't penalize websites if they're building amazing content and sending signals the right way. It just takes time, which is why so few marketing companies want to do it. They also, every single business model out there, whether it's Boomtown or Wix, they all have the model of keeping you hooked into their service. They absolutely positively don't want to give you the keys to your own website because, hey, at some point you'll leave for sure. And in the case of all these companies that have terrible service, like Real Estate Web, well, they're pretty good on the service side, I'm sorry. There's companies out there, though, that charge a lot of money that don't have the best service. So, and then you spend all that money and you don't own the site, so what are your choices? So it's a terrible dilemma, and most people in real estate that if you get to this point in the video, you're like, oh yeah, I've experienced that. I've always gone back and forth with the methodology of growing my business. The funny thing about content marketing is if you do your job right, your expertise is established before anybody ever talks to you. If you don't already believe that I know what I'm talking about, that I probably can prove it to you with data via a screen share, then you haven't read or watched very many of my videos. I'm hazarding a guess, and hopefully you can tell by the tone and the timbre of the rest of my videos, but I believe myself to be the most experienced real estate online marketer that's working in the United States today. So the question becomes, how much do I really want to grow the service side of my business, who I want to grow it with? And I think that this video is kind of I'm going to seek that answer through the response from my audience. And what I mean by that is that I am taking on SEO customers. I kind of pick and choose and circumstance pick and choose as well, because the amount of real estate agents that can afford to wait for 6 or 9 months before seeing a result come in from any kind of marketing is usually that puts about at the top 10%, or people that have owned other businesses that are getting into real estate, one or the other. And so that right there eliminates a lot of people that watch these videos. Now, if you happen to be one of those other people, the 80 or 90%, please don't hesitate to schedule an appointment with me, because I will happily discuss. I can't, unfortunately, give my time to everybody, but I will give you an hour of my time. I usually ask for a little review and throw it on Google, so that you can share your experience, so that people understand, was I helpful? Do I really have as much knowledge as I think that I do? And then you can share that experience with everybody on the web. For the rest of you, though, for that 10%, if you happen to be watching this video, there's a few factors that come into play when I start talking about doing business with people. One of those factors is the geo-specific area that you're in. So if you do think that you might want to talk to me and you might want to seek more information on exactly what kind of solution I truly provide, and you should seek a lot of details. You should really, truly understand, and we both should understand exactly what it is that you need accomplished. Do you need a CRM? Do you need not just leads? If you do need leads, how many do you need? What's the average sales price in your area? Does it make sense to hire somebody like me? I can take a reasonably good stab at what lead generation should be in an area based upon the population and doing some quick analysis on the amount of searches that are available out there, and how competitive those searches are. So we can actually do the math up front without any decisions or commitments being made. By the time I do decide to do business with somebody, or they decide to do business with me, it's usually a foregone conclusion. I am the answer to a puzzle that they've been trying to figure out for a long time. And if you've stuck through with me to the very end of this video, you very well might be one of those people. There might be a lot of pieces to a puzzle that you've been trying to solve, like having a website that you own, something that works well, something that you'd be proud of, something that you don't have to manage, that you don't have to spend 15 or 20 hours watching videos to make it work right, or have your assistant do the same. If all of those things are ringing some bells for you, then it might be worth both of our times to talk. And that's why there's a calendar right below this video. You can go ahead and schedule an appointment with me, and we can sit down and we can see if doing some business together makes sense. All of my quotes, unfortunately, have to be custom. I do, of course, have case studies. I have lead generation that I'm already doing for customers. All of this information is not stuff I post in my digital formats, but I will show it to people as case studies before we move forward and really truly get into the nitty-gritty of doing a relationship, because it will take a while for that relationship to fulminate, and so there has to be a great deal of trust and understanding on both sides to make the dynamic work. If you have any comments about this video, click the little YouTube symbol and then go into YouTube and click comment, or find any one of the contact forms I have on my site and just shoot me off a message. I respond pretty promptly to all emails, since I'm not really doing like a mass communication strategy with my website. I don't get inundated with emails or calls, so if you want to call or email me, go for it. And I should get back to you within an hour. All right. Thanks for tuning in. If indeed you made it this far, you are an Olympian of the internet.